Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I've been working on a dream game of mine called Roach Arena, which is basically a roguelike shooter action insect based game for some reason that has basically done so much to me. There's been many ups and downs, and though the game isn't close to being finished at all, like you can literally see that the frog isn't actually a frog, it's literally just a pill. I want to share a bit of what I've learned and basically give you a walkthrough of what's been going on for the past month while I was actually working on it. Now, I'm not a game dev by any means. I think I only started making games like 2 to 3 months ago. My first game is literally this. Then the second one is this, which you could say looks good, but there's zero depth at all if you actually try it. And for the third one I ever made, it's the one that we're covering today, which is Roach Arena. But how did it even get to this point? Obviously, that's what I'm about to explain. One day, a close friend of mine said to me and my other friend, "Let's try making games." Which to me at the time seemed like an impossible task, like a mountain that could only be climbed by people who have like 20 years of experience or something. But since I had a lot of free time on my hands, I decided to get into it anyways, and fast forward 2 bad games later, we can finally talk about the game. Game idea. Cockroach gladiator in an arena able to use a grappling hook on the wall. I don't know where this idea came from, but all I can say is that it was literally put on my heart to make it. And so the first step was to draw some art for it, starting with the main cockroach character. Here's some of the failures. And then here's the final one I decided to go with, even though it also looks like a failure in a way. I'll call him Roachard. One of the biggest mistakes I decided to do during this time is that I decided to use multiple layers for the character instead of just having one layer for the whole thing. The whole benefit for using layers is that it's apparently easier to implement character customization later on, but Roachard has 16 different layers. The foot, the bottom leg, the upper leg, foot, bottom leg, upper leg, the hand, the bottom arm, upper arm, same, the torso, the head, the antenna, and then the shell. This design choice had me working days on pixel art alone and basically made it 1,000 times harder than it was supposed to be. I think I spent around a whole week just trying to give him the idle and walking animations simply because I have to drag thousands of frames just for a single animation. Oh, and one thing that made this even worse is the Unity order layer thing. Like, you can see here that the left leg is above the fist, so we need to give the arm a higher order layer so that it appears above the leg. Keep in mind that we have to do this for 16 body parts. Thank you. And you might not get why it's so bad, but to help you visualize what the experience was like, here's a clip. About 2 weeks later, I managed to add punching animations that don't look very consistent in terms of pixel art and consistency, but hey, never said I'm a professional pixel artist, so after adding the punches, I then decided to add a weapon animation with a spear, and just like that, look at this masterpiece right here. I then added 2 buttons that allow the player to switch between 2 different combat types, and after 17 whole days, we basically have a game where you can walk around, use a grappling hook, we got hands, spear animations too, but then my friend said something that hit me like a truck. Imagine working on a game for 17 days straight and being told that it's better to simply start over. And this dude is like the second best rage baiter I know, so I was definitely very pissed when I heard this. But luckily I was open-minded enough to listen, and at that point the game was basically mid at everything that it did. There was combat, yes, but it didn't feel satisfying and was still incomplete. The art itself is terrible with the angles not really lining up well. Basically, I myself understood that there was no point in continuing with the game. I drew the art thinking I'll probably just come back later to fix it, which made it look sloppy like mentioned before. But then the thought of having to come back and adjust Rochard who has 16 body parts and ordering layer issues or something? Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. And so even though it took a lot of humbling and bitterness, I decided to scrap the whole game and start fresh. The problem before was that I was trying to do every aspect of the game at the same time, like the art, the code, functionality itself, which basically took way too long, and I wasn't even able to tell if the game was gonna be fun or not. And so the mindset that I went with in the new and improved Roach Arena is that the focus is on prototyping and using low quality stuff, and only handling deep, heavy, intensive stuff like the art and all that much later on in development. Basically, I want to have a fun feeling game before it looks nice, if that makes sense. 17 days down the drain, but let's see how much faster this one's gonna go. Grappling hook, health bar, movement. Guess how long it took me to make this? A single day. And here I was taking a whole week to make the walking animations when I simply could have done this instead. My goodness. Now to be fair, some of the logic is taken from the old project, but it's still insane that I have almost the exact same game in a shorter amount of time. Next, what we added to the game was the enemies, and that's not good. Next up is damage numbers, just so that you can tickle a certain part of your brain, and adding a gold resource that drops each time you kill an enemy. Now I remember saying somewhere at the beginning of the video that this game is supposed to be a gladiator cockroach arena fighting game, so the most obvious next step is to draw a steal a coliseum asset and set it as a background. Yep. Then we add a door which is supposed to open each time enemies spawn, but I'll leave the high demanding tasks for later. This is all I got right now. Now I'm not an expert in Roman Colosseum tradition or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure we need a place where Rochard over here can get some rest and basically prepare for the next fight. Boom! A ground hatch tunnel thing. Once you clear a wave of enemies, you'll be able to access this shop. And where does it lead right now? Nowhere. So now it's time to add a shop, and I'm thinking it has to be like a room where roaches just chill and they can equip different kinds of items and stuff, and it has to look similar to a dungeon room. So I went ahead and drew my own map. I stole it. Now we add health potions that you can buy from the shop, and what's a shop without a shopkeeper, am I right? Boom! I don't know what I was thinking, man. Maybe give him a little hat, tear off a limb too, just so that it looks different enough, though it wouldn't make sense at all. Put him next to a weapon rack and boom! We now have a shopkeeper, ladies and gentlemen. Right now he only sells health potions, which are good and a must, but as long as you play good in the game and dodge the enemy attacks, you basically won't have to come to the shop, as long as you don't have a skill issue. He now sells berserk potions. They basically double the damage that you deal, and yeah, that's all it does. W had Roach. The game's definitely got a good flow going right now, where you can complete a wave, go to the shop, buy some items, and then you basically go to continue your run. It's definitely good, but we basically have two options at this point. We either add different kinds of weapons that the roach can use so that the gameplay doesn't become boring or feel too repetitive, or the second option that I didn't even think about, which is adding different insect type of characters. The game was originally supposed to be about the cockroach being the main character. It's literally called Roach Arena. And so this decision would heavily impact the rest of the game going forward. Introducing the frog. What's so different about him, you might ask? Well, he's basically the roach but green. And he has a sword. I also decided to give him the ability to deal damage to the opponent while he's dashing because he's a frog, like they jump, and so the third character I decided to add is a spider dude that's basically Spider-Man but with gauntlets instead. And I chose to add these three characters specifically because one of them is a melee archetype, and so if I ever want to add another melee type character, then I already have the logic for it. And the same thing for the sword dude and the spider gent as well, who's basically a long range type of character. Adding these three different characters help make the game so much more fun cause you're basically able to experience the game differently with every single run. Obviously some characters are better and more fun than others to use, which is kinda where the difficulty of having multiple characters comes in. So instead of fixing the problem that I just discussed, let's go gambling! Cockroach, golden chest, keys that you can get by completing a wave or from killing an enemy, colors to make your brain go majestic pixel art drawings for the buffs that we can get, and boom! Now we actually have something to look forward to when we complete a run. I also tried being creative when it comes to the pictures of the buffs themselves, like the mystery juice that falls on your foot from time to time, sugar water, which doesn't really make sense in terms of increasing your stats, but a sandal increasing your movement speed because you're in danger, like, yeah. A One Punch Man reference, lots of other weird ones, but that's basically the gacha system. These definitely make the gameplay more fun and interactive since you can basically build your character how you want, and it also gives you a real incentive to go to the shop after finishing a run. Though the gacha definitely makes the game feel better, the combat itself was still just not engaging enough. That's because we basically only have one enemy, which is this ant dude with a spear, and so now we reach the final additions after yapping for however long it's been. The first enemy is a big buff beetle dude, he's got a horn, he charges to where the player is, but he should be fairly easy to face since he's a brute with no brains. He unfortunately does have a lot of health, which might impact difficulty a little bit, but maybe that's another video. Our next enemy to add is a spider. The concept design is this, which is a reference to Raid Shadow Legends Bakage, but of course since we're not focusing on art right now, he actually looks like this. And just like that, after 17 whole days and starting over, in only 21 days I was able to remake the Roach Arena into something that's actually more fun and engaging than ever before. Massive shout out to God for helping me get this far with the project, and if you actually have any tips or advice that you'd like to share, then please let me know down in the comments. Make sure to join my Discord group as there's currently a playtest for Roach Arena going on where you can actually try it for yourself. But yeah, thank you for listening to the Yap, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!